Hey guys, Ram here. Welcome to the Exodus, or just hard mode on KSP, where there's also resources, so we have to keep our Kerbals alive longer. For those of you that don't know, KSP stands for Kerbal Space Program. It's sort of like a rocket simulator game, but in this specific game or series, we've got extra resources that they have to have. So our Kerbals have to have food, water, oxygen, um, and then they have to have electricity while they're in space to keep them warm, or else they'll die. All the Kerbals, if they die, I can't get them back except for the original four. The original four, Bill, Bob, Jeb, and Valentina. If they die, I will bring them back, but there's going to be penalties that I'll probably explain later. If not, you'll see, I guess. Anyways, so here in this series, I have to get 100 Kerbals sustained off of Kerbin at their new home, and some of them want to leave as soon as possible. I'm not sure exactly where we're going to send them first, but we got to find them a suitable new home. And, like I said, I have to have resources for them to live, so it has to be enough for them to permanently live on that new home. That's going to be pretty tricky. And since this is on hard mode, it makes it a whole lot harder for me to get the funds to do this sort of stuff. They're not going to be paying me to get there. This whole space program is designed for them to get there. So it's going to be a bit of a tough road. Now, most of this, at least for the first couple of videos, is going to be post-commentary. So the gameplay will be shown in the background and I'll be commentating over top of it. Now, I haven't really referenced what's going on, so let me catch you up to speed. We went and accepted a few of these little contracts of where to go, and you can see this one's gonna be a problem for me. I don't quite realize what's going on yet, but yeah. So we're gonna go and look at some of these contracts. I'm deciding on which ones are the best contracts to get. We already took a couple of contracts, and from those, we just quickly launched some rockets to get us some more money, because we have to have the money to get the science, to unlock new parts, so that we can make more money, so that we can get better places. Because right now, we can't build very big rockets, and they can't be very heavy or anything. So it looks like we've gotten a few more. Oh, no, sorry. The window's much smaller for me here while I'm watching this, while I'm recording, so it's harder to see. I thought that we had accepted some new contracts, but we haven't. I've just been going and trying to get some science, and here we're going to unlock some different stuff. I'm really trying to decide what sort of stuff I should unlock with my science, because I'm used to an easier game mode in KSP, which means that I get more science, but I really don't have that much science to go and buy or unlock new parts. See, like those parts there, that's a bunch of the food parts that'll make it so that my Kerbals don't die when they're in deep space, which I probably won't need right away, but man, they're tempting, because I've gotten some pretty small rockets, some pretty far out places before, so I might need some of that food. And I just realized this said far out. I meant that like distance, not like, oh dear, this is gonna be fun. Anyways, so really considering some of these contracts here, just looking over them and reading them. By the way, if I spell something wrong, I'm dyslexic, so deal with it. I won't know, and I've also already recorded like 3 episodes ahead, so I won't know until like 3 episodes. So yeah, you can feel free to comment in the comment section, but it probably won't happen. Yeah. So here, anyways, we want to build a rocket that'll get us some extra science, and yeah, so these capsules are made in such a way so that they fall correctly and really slow, and putting stuff on the top can be a problem, so I'm trying to like sink it into the rocket just a little bit so that it will fall the correct direction in the air, because wind and everything is modeled pretty well in KSP. And I also haven't used, you can see me adding in some of those books and stuff there. I don't know really what those do. I installed a whole bunch of mods to make all this stuff happen, and so I was like, yeah, I'll put them in there. Let's see what they do. So we don't have very many parts yet, so I've got to double up these smaller little tanks in order to use a liquid engine. and then just saying, yeah, I need a decoupler because I want the upper part of the ship to decouple from the lower part of the ship when I get up there higher, just making sure my staging's good there. Otherwise, I'll just decouple and then fire their engine, and then it'll all fall apart, and it'll be terrible and explode. Which, I mean, you would probably enjoy, but it costs me a lot of money inside the game, and we're not going to get very far if I just keep letting stuff explode. Also, don't worry, as the series goes on, I'm going to show you less and less building. In fact, probably this episode will have the most building in it. The other episodes probably won't have much building in it at all, because it's not nearly as interesting, and finding that it's really hard to commentate over the top of it. If there's anything that you guys don't really like about how I'm doing this, make sure to let me know, and I'll try to fix it. Make it better so that these shows are more interesting, because I mean entertainment, right? So anyways, there we put an SRB on the bottom, solid rocket booster. It's lighter and provides more thrust, but you can't control it, like you can't throttle it at all. So once it's on, and good luck, buddy. So we're starting to go up. In that light blue area is where we really shouldn't be going over 200 meters per second. And you can see that we are going like 500, so that was a bit too much. But we're just seeing how high we can go, and we're getting up there pretty high. We're starting to get re-entry effects, which is what happens when you enter the atmosphere going really, really fast. So we were going fast. We got up really high, really, really high. Oh, it'd be nice to be that high right now. No, I'm joking. So yeah, we ran out of fuel, and we just decouple so that it's just our pod. And like I said, because of the way that the pod's made, it will just naturally kind of face the right direction, which is prograde. So the butt of the pod will face downwards, or wherever we're heading, it'll face, yeah, the butt of the pod will face wherever we're heading. I think that's the best way to explain it. There's probably most of you people that are watching this are KSP people, so they're like, yes, duh, I know what prograde and retrograde and all that stuff is. But, okay, this channel mostly has, like, Overwatch stuff on it so far, and then one alluding to playing Anthem video, which the Anthem videos will be coming out soon. So I gotta explain what some of this stuff is. Like, anyways, so we're taking the data now, so we get all the science. We got Valentina in there. She's getting all this experience so she can be a better pilot, which having the experience on these pilots really does help out. I can't take her outside the pod yet, though, because I have to buy some better facilities to be able to do that. And you can see here, so the pod just naturally aligned with the little yellow marker. You can see down there, that's my nav ball. That gives me a lot of the information. It just naturally aligned with that little yellow marker there. That was because of how the pod was designed, and I didn't put too much stuff on the top, so it didn't flip over. If it had flipped over, it would be like a bullet heading towards the ground, and since I don't want to kill the Kerbal, that's a bad thing. It's just kind of a bad thing. But it didn't happen, so we're all good. However, I can EVA her on the, EVAing is getting out of the pod. I can do that on the water. And you can see, we have more science now. We have 50 science. So that may seem like a lot, but it's probably going to go away really fast. And I was wondering why I didn't get this, and here's where I realize, so this wanted me to test that command pod. It wanted me to test it on an escape trajectory. They needed that command pod that I was using tested on escape trajectory for me to get the money. Escape trajectory means that it leaves Kerbin's sphere of influence. That's really hard to do. Even, like, I could do it eventually. Like, eventually it'll be no problem to do. I'll have to do it all the time. But right now, that's really hard to do. And so I can't really do that. So that's going to be hard to complete that mission. Anyways, we got 35 signs left, and we got to see here, okay, what can we get? We can't get the next tier up. We can only get, like, yeah, that booster one and then the wings one below it. We decided to get the booster one because it gives us more engine parts or more fuel tank parts. And then we also got some more parachutes there. Sorry, wasn't commentating live. I still got to get used to this thing. So, since we have the more parts, I think here I had some footage that was deleted. So it didn't show me like reworking the rocket a little bit, but I did. You can see that I put some more science stuff inside, right underneath the capsule. That's like a little crew bay where I can put stuff, and I put more science stuff inside there. And then I also made the 2 tanks into 1 tank. And since we're part limited inside the vehicle assembly building, the VAB for short, that was a good thing. Basically the same rocket though, so we're going to fly this one up and try to get as much science as possible. Also on the SRB, I don't know if I had it before. I probably did, but I put fins on there because it was going so fast. I really didn't want it to tip over, because if it tips over, we're in tons of trouble. So yeah, we're not gonna let that happen. Put the fins on there, went up just fine. We still went really, really fast, which isn't the greatest thing in the world, but we're just trying to shoot up and get into space, so it's okay. It's just very inefficient. There's so much drag with the air that it's very inefficient to do that. And probably as the series goes on, especially if it gets really, really hard to make money, we will have to be super efficient. We're also going to probably have to reuse some of our rockets. I installed some mods that should give us some pieces to make it easier to reuse, but we'll see how that goes. So here, I'm gathering some science. And, yeah, I already used that one. Gathering some science in space, that'll give us a lot more data. I have a second pressure sensor there that we can probably use lower down in the atmosphere because I haven't used one of those yet. And there's so many extra buttons right now that it's hard for me to find the crew report thing. And then I'm also trying to test the rocket because I noticed that I had to push the test button. Yeah, still isn't an escape trajectory though, because we're not escaping Kerbin's sphere of influence. We're just going to fall back to Kerbin. So, yeah, I can't do anything about that. It's still not going to work. Yep. Which is bad. About now I'm really realizing that. I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay, well, that's not good. And here the pod started to flip some. So like I said, if this pod falls the wrong way, it's a bullet into the ground. That's not good. Now, you can see on the capsule itself, I've got those 2 extra little nubs though there. Those are parachutes. And those parachutes will open at a faster speed and a higher altitude. Now, not as high as I was. And you can see down in the left-hand corner where my stages are. Both the parachutes are red. Yeah. I can't open them now, and before it was too high, so they wouldn't have opened. So I'm just struggling for dear life to keep it the right way up, and I did, at least enough. So it slowed down. Val is safe. If we hadn't have got that to stay like that, if it would have went nose first, Val would be dead, and I would be out about $10,000, and I don't have that much money, so that would be really bad. Like I said, it'd be out $10,000 because that would be. I have now decided on the amounts of money for a Kerbal that I lose while they're on Kerbin. If it's one of the original 4 that I can bring back, it's $10,000 that I lose, and I really don't want to lose $10,000. Now it might look like I have a lot because I have basically $190,000. That's not enough because I need to upgrade different things like the VAB, which costs $450,000. So yeah, that's not good. Now here, I just wanted to test a little bit more science. Give it one more go. Because I mean, I gotta be sure if that really doesn't work. I'm testing it. I've got the little panel open to tell me if it works. I'm still testing it. And no. Yeah. Now I realize, okay, I'm screwed on that mission. And you're like, okay, well, what's so bad with, you not being able to complete that mission? Well, right now I can only have 2. Missions are how I get money. And if I reject the mission, I don't have a lot of reputation, and you get better missions with more reputation. And better funding with more reputation. And so denying the mission after I've already accepted it not only gives me a money penalty, but it also goes and gives me a reputation penalty, and I don't have much reputation, and I really don't have nearly enough money. So that is bad. So I'm like, okay, what things can I unlock to get me out of Kerbin's sphere of influence? Or what things can I do to make more money fast? Ferrying Kerbals is really good. So some of those parts allow me to carry 2 extra Kerbals. So I could do that. It's like tourist trips. They're actually called tourists. So that would be really, really good. That one's got 2 Kerbals in it, but this one has science. Yes, I'm going to go with the science. Reason that I'm going with science is because then I can get more science faster to get more pieces. And the better science equipment you get, the more science So, yeah. Anyways, took those pieces. There was a new science module on there. When I get back to the rocket, I'll show you, but I was just showing you there how with this new rocket, I want to get to the North Pole, because that'll get me more science, because it's a new biome. I haven't been there before, and it's not actually very easy to get there. So I'm going to get to the North Pole with this rocket. Should be fine. I've got the bigger tanks. You can see there near the top, near my white capsule, I changed the color of the capsule because I wanted to. I've got a big bay sort of looking thing. The next part, it's a science bay. And what, or no, that's not a science bay. That's the wrong name for it. Anyways, it's a another science instrument that will, well, get me more science. There's a lot of science. Science is important, okay? Science, science, science. Yes, are you convinced now? Good, I'm glad that you are. And below that is the same sort of little bay that we had before that holds all those other little pieces of equipment. So we can get all the stuff. Like I said, science, 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 science. So I just have to go into the larger map view here and make sure that I'm actually getting far enough. Look, I'm out of fuel. Okay, I didn't make it. So that wasn't ideal. But as you can see there, one, you get a close-up of the ship, so now you can see more of it. But I also added more parachutes. Why did I add more parachutes? Well, because I don't want this thing to, like, explode when it hits the ground. I know, weird, right? Obviously, I don't want it to explode, but no. So there we go. My drogue chutes helped me out there because I was starting to act like a bullet going down. But because of the extra big pieces that I have on this ship, I needed the extra parachutes. And here I'm trying to get some extra data while I'm flying in the air because remember I have 2 of those pressure data sensors, so I can use one in the air and one on the ground, and they should give me different readings. Yeah, anyways, we just gotta float back down to the surface here, and I haven't really figured out when I should deploy my parachutes at this point. I also can't really tell how far I am from the ground, but it turns out okay, and there was no point in showing the fall all the way down. That's just extra. You don't need that. It's boring. I just gotta make sure my rocket doesn't roll down the hill and explode, because they might do that. Yeah, there we go. So we access that science. We take a crew report. We go ahead and open up the bay here, which will actually keep us from rolling more, so that's nice. Go and look at the mystery goo and the temperature, pressure log, everything. All nice. Yeah, there we go. Yep. Getting all the science. So cover it. I didn't do an EVA. Should have done an EVA. But you can see there, now we're up to 28 science. That's good. So we should be able to buy a little bit more with that. And, well, get a little bit farther, hopefully. So, here's where my recording software did not catch the building of this new rocket. This rocket should get us to space. And by space, I mean like orbit. So I should have said orbit. It'll get us to orbit. I know what I'm talking about, I promise. Please believe me. But yeah, I'm running into that part limit again, and I want those fins on the bottom because I really don't want this rocket to flip over in midair. It's very tall and pointy, and it may look like a certain object, but that's not what it is, okay? Even though Joker Boy walked by and said that it was. That's not what it is. It is a rocket. Shut up, your dirty minds. And now I can't not see it as that. Anyways, I'm installing those little drogue parachutes on there again. That's what they're called. The little ones are drogue parachutes. Because if I need to, I want to be able to abort this rocket in case it flips over. So if I need to abort, I will go and stage with the correct stages, and those will open up even if the bottom stage of the rocket is firing, it will slow that down and allow the upper stage to fly away just fine. So yes, that is why those are there. It also might allow me to reuse it. Probably not, though. In any case, it's going. It's not flipping over yet. It didn't flip over all the way to orbit. We've already seen enough, well, not orbit. We're not in orbit yet. No spoilers. Actually, it may or may not get to orbit. I don't know. Like I said, I'm on like the 3rd episode now of gameplay. I don't remember what the fuck happens here. So, we're pushing out our apoapsis. Apoapsis is like the highest point in an orbit. We're pushing that out and don't really want to go up too far above 70,000 meters, because 70,000 meters is what KSP considers to be space. So you're not going to get any drag from the atmosphere. You can get a stable orbit there. So we don't really need to go any farther than that, because any farther that we go from that will be just a waste of fuel, and this is going to be really tight if we're able to make it. So I get closer to my apoapsis, because it's also more efficient to burn at your apoapsis if you want to bring up your periapsis. For the ones of you that are following along, apoapsis, higher one, so periapsis, probably lower one. It's just the point of your orbit. Right now there is no periapsis, so we have to make one. So it's more efficient to burn at the top. And we're sort of starting to get there. But we also have to have enough fuel to get down. And we're running low on fuel. And we're really running low on fuel. We're almost there. We are so close. I can't quite see. Are we out of fuel yet or not? The preview window. Oh, okay, yeah, no. I realized I'm not going to make it. And if I did make it, I wouldn't be able to get out of orbit, because I wouldn't have had any fuel left. So we just decouple, and by decoupling, pointing retrograde, so slowing down, pointing, it will, well, make us slow down, because the force of decoupling is calculated into our speed. So that'll make us come back a little bit faster. And you can see here we started getting into the orbit, and so that, I mean, the friction, lots and lots of friction, that caused us to start to the orbit. Now, I still haven't entirely figured out how to make the capsules so that they don't want to fall into the atmosphere like a bullet. And since we're re-entering, we get re-entry heating. Thankfully, we weren't going fast enough to cause the capsule to explode, because that would happen. I put on the bottom of this a heat shield that makes it so we don't explode. But the bottom isn't pointing down. Thankfully, you know, weren't going too fast. We were able to hold ourselves there, and we didn't explode. I know, good things, right? Man, we're getting lucky. So, drogue parachutes open. We might as well do some science here, because I'm pretty sure that I haven't been here before. Yep, I'm only getting some science, but I mean, some is better than none. So we might as well try. Because otherwise this mission was just a total waste of money, and I really don't want to keep wasting money. But, I mean, if I can't figure this out, we might be still wasting a bunch more money. Hopefully not, though. And something exploded. Oh, the mystery goo container exploded. One of the bigger pieces of science. Great. Anyways, let's go with the next rocket. Because, you know, we almost made it, as long as I'm just more efficient with my burn, which I've totally figured out the most efficient way to burn by this point. Yeah. Totally. I'm not lying. If we're just more efficient with the burn, then we should have enough fuel to get into orbit. But we're going to have to be really, really efficient. And so I want a little bit of control here, so I turn on the gimbaling engine, and now we've lost this other booster, so I had to turn it on anyways. We're getting to orbit there. There was no sense watching it all the way up. We're starting to push out our periapsis. We're still getting really low on fuel. Can we make it? Oh! I think that we made it. We made it, guys. We're in orbit of Kerbin. Yes! Why don't we have the box ticked? Why? I only have to be here for 10 seconds. I've been here for 10 seconds. Yep. Apoapsis. Oh, the periapsis is below 70,000 meters. Okay. So we'll just time warp over to the apoapsis, hoping that we don't run out of oxygen, because time in space, you know, no oxygen, not a good thing. But we should have enough. Move around to our apoapsis. Just burn a little bit so that we can still get out of orbit. Yeah, burning just a little bit. There we go. You can see they switched there. That means that now we're in orbit. Goal accomplished. Whew. And now let's get back down to Kerbin, because I really don't want to stay here any longer. Yep. And we are now out of fuel. So, we will just detach. And then I realize, shit, I didn't take any science. Well, great. Yeah, I tried to get some science there, but I couldn't. We are already out of orbit. It was too late, so we might as well come back in, and I figured I'd show you the fire show. Now, we're holding pretty good here. You can see when I turn on the SAS, there's those extra little buttons. That's because now Valentina has more experience. She's been in orbit. She's an experienced pilot. We'll see if we can get any more science. Maybe the re-entry, we got like a point of science, maybe, like barely anything. What about the pressure sensor? We're going through re-entry. We should be able to get something, but no. Okay, whatever. And now we're starting to lose control. This isn't good. I'm fighting very hard. You can see the capsule, that little indicator, if it goes all the way to the right-hand side, it explodes. That's not good. Valentina, yeah, please take the wheel. Val, please take the wheel. And keep us from exploding. I know my singing's not that great. I won't do it as much. Joker Boy's better at singing. But I can do some good bass stuff. My singing voice isn't terrible. I mean, with the pitch that this is recorded at, it wouldn't really sound that low. But, whatever. So, we're still re-entering at a really weird angle. But, you know, it's enough. We slow ourselves down. Parachutes are opening fine. Yep, it all goes good. And we can land. Hopefully not destroy the mystery goo container this time. Yep, we didn't. That's good. Let's actually get some EVA reports this time. Yay, we got a couple of science that way. So, I mean, we still got the money from going to orbit, but I would have liked to get that science too, because it would have been worth so much more. We'll just have to get it sometime later. Because right now, it's the end of the video. If you guys liked the video, go ahead and leave a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, you can leave a thumbs down. But if you're going to do that, please let me know why you didn't like it. I would love to make this series better. I haven't really done a KSP series like this before, so I could use some tips just on what, you know, would be more entertaining, since this is entertainment. Anyways, go ahead and check out some of the other stuff that we've got on Warax. Bye!